good, everyone? This is Chris Itoa here, and welcome again to another one of my movie reviews. We survived the month of August, which this past August ended up being one of the worst months for movies I've ever seen. It was just beyond terrible. But thankfully, it's September. There's some good stuff coming out now, including the movie I'm going to be talking about right now, which is It, the horror thriller type movie based on the Stephen King novel of the same name about that evil old clown terrorizing kids. Now, from my perspective, which is hopefully different from a lot of the reviews you're going to see for this movie, is that I have not read the It novel, the Stephen King novel, nor have I seen the 1990 movie at all, the one that starred Tim Curry as Pennywise. This movie is the only It that I've been familiar with at all, and from those trailers that came out were just terrific. The marketing for this movie was amazing, and this movie has just had hype, unlike any horror movie that I've ever seen. And from my perspective, like I said, just going in fresh, unfamiliar with the source material, I was just able to see this as a movie. And it was a movie that I was, like I said, really excited to see based on the trailers that I saw, which is that this is just a fantastic horror thriller experience in almost every way that I could have hoped for. To me, what was great about this movie is that it was great in ways that I did expect and ways that I did not expect at all based on those trailers. And talking about what I did expect from this movie, what I was hoping that it'd deliver on, is that there is just some fantastic, twisted horror imagery in this movie. I mean, that's what you want to see from those trailers. In those trailers, you want to be scared. And this movie definitely gives you the atmosphere, the imagery, the crazy-ass clown action that everyone wanted to see from this movie. And if you really want to get some bang for your buck, see this movie with a big crowd, because the crowd that I saw it with on a Friday night, it was just terrific. It was packed, and everyone was scared at everything. And you could say that, well, is the movie really that scary? Because there are some people that just want to be scared just to be scared. But really, the jump scares and all the imagery in this movie, it really is good, man. And sometimes jump scares, those can be cheap. That's sort of a cheap way to get scares. But the jump scares, they were appropriate. They weren't overdone. They're all like, they're spread out, and it's done really well. And like I said, that imagery and just haunting atmosphere that you want to experience is great. So that's the stuff I expected from the movie, and it definitely delivered on that. I was so happy that I actually was able to feel those chills in the theater that I wanted to see. But in terms of what I did not expect from this movie, in terms of it being entertaining, I did not expect this movie to be as funny as it was from those trailers. Like I said, I'm not familiar with the source of material at all. But this movie was so entertaining because it was just so funny. The group of kids that they got in this movie, there are just some terrific one-liners in there to keep you entertained. Even though these kids, they're in, I think it's high school. They're high school or maybe junior high. They seemed younger than that. It might have been high school, but whatever. They're young kids, definitely a lot younger than I am. And what was amazing is that there's just so much cursing that these kids do. And while that could be a cheap way to get laughs, for me and the audience I was with, it was really effective, man, to see the type of stuff these kids were talking about. Some of the one-liners from a couple of the boys in particular were really good and did a good job of keeping the whole audience entertained. And the kids as a whole, you take the humor aside, it was a really good group of kids that we had in these movies. About 5 white boys, a black boy, and one girl were in this group. And this dynamic that the kids had together is just a really fun group dynamic of kids that you could root for. Each of them had their individual little quirks that were really effective and really kept you entertained throughout the movie. I really enjoyed it. I really liked what they did with the girl in the group, a girl named Beverly, who she has her own kind of issues going on with her. But her dynamic combined with the whole group dynamic of the boys, in particular, one boy who was searching for his lost brother who was probably dead, but he's still looking for him anyway. That was really good, and overall was a good, whenever you can have a horror movie where you can root for the characters and these characters aren't dumb, don't make dumb decisions, that's just an A+ win for your movie. So I was really happy to see the movie do that. So the characters, our protagonists, fantastic job on that. And combined with the humor that I got from was just an A+ for this movie in that aspect. But a lot of this movie hinges on Pennywise himself, that clown, because that's definitely what everyone's come to see. And Pennywise himself definitely delivers for me, man. His look is terrific. It's a lot different from the 1990 look from the pictures that I've seen. Obviously, they've been able to enhance it with, I guess, better makeup and some visual effects here and there. So that was really good. And the actor who plays him, who I did not know going in, looked him up after I saw the movie, Bill Skarsgård, who did a really good job with this character, man. For one, I think he did the voice really well. I mean, you got the voice is something that's really tricky because you're like, well, how's this dude going to sound? But sort of the voice that he used, it was really good, and there was sort of a good, I don't want to call it charming side to Pennywise, but he had a fun, entertaining personality to see, man. Not quite like the Joker, but you know, understand what I'm saying. That type of playful personality, but obviously a very murderous and dangerous personality. And you definitely feel for these kids. He's just got some fantastic sequences throughout this movie. One sequence that I'm just going to tease, you've seen in the trailer, the projector sequence. Oh my God, that was definitely the biggest scare I got in this movie. I'm not going to spoil what happens, but me and the entire audience, that's the biggest scare I've had all year and definitely in a long time. It took me back and I was like, oh shit. So that was a fantastic sequence. And he really was a good villain throughout the movie. I think that, he did have a good amount of torturing through these kids. Like I said, this is sort of well, I haven't said this, but this is, from my perspective, it was sort of a new age, a Nightmare on Elm Street, because it's pretty much the same story of this whole supernatural force going over these group of kids. But if I'm comparing it to something relatively recently, this was way better than that, a Nightmare on Elm Street remake that came out in 2010. If y'all remember that one, that movie was a huge piece of shit. This movie is sort of ideally what that movie should have been like. But forgetting about that movie, just this movie right here, fantastic movie going experience. I had so much fun in this movie, definitely. And was definitely, I think, delivering on the hype that a lot of people wanted to see from it. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I really don't have a whole lot of flaws with the movie. No major flaws for me, from my perspective. Like I said, you can nitpick at certain things just as a horror movie, like kids doing certain things, but I don't think these kids acted dumb at all with their decisions. Sure, maybe they disobeyed sort of the stuff that they set up, like certain things they wanted to do here and there, but it was nothing too egregious. So I think a 9 out of 10 is a good, what this movie deserves. Not a 10 out of 10 just because, like I said, there's no major flaws for me. But there wasn't that extra maybe boost of something to push me up to a 10 out of 10. But hey, 9 out of 10, y'all shouldn't be complaining, or filmmakers shouldn't be complaining with that score. So I definitely recommend that y'all go out and see this movie. It's just a great movie and a great rebound from an ass-tastic August that we just experienced. And at the time I'm recording this video, I can comment on the box office that this movie's done. On opening night, Friday night, which I went to, I went and saw it at 8:15. The movie on Friday night, it's done $50 million on opening day. That is just an amazing number for an R-rated horror movie, and it looks like it's gonna break 100 million through the 3-day weekend. We'll see if it will or not. It may or may not, but it's definitely gonna hit that 90 million range. And for an R-rated horror movie, that is just amazing. And it's something I really like to see because I love that there's not that excuse anymore that you cannot make R-rated movies and expect them to be really successful. I mean, hell, look at Logan from this year and Deadpool for last year. So I love that R-rated movies are doing great, and I love that this movie was as good as it was. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this review. Leave your comments and tell me what you thought of the movie if you've seen it, and I will see y'all around with another video.